In your struggles, are you finding God or are you fighting God? Which Jonah are you? Are you pre-fish or post-fish? Are you running from God or are you running to God? He is our only hope, and He's not far from us, the Bible says.
Hey, I'm Phil, and I've spent most of my adult life as a full-time Christian minister. And in a world that often feels heavy with bad news, I've pulled together this collection of some of my more meaningful talks, recorded live over the years, and I hope that they bring you light. You'll find them here on my channel, Philuminated. So please, listen, like, subscribe, comment, share, and enjoy. So this is a message about dealing with troubles in your life and finding God in the midst of it. This is a unique message that I gave because it was given at a leadership event, and I put my phone on the podium and recorded myself speaking. There's about 200 or 250 people, and they're all ministers as well. So I'm a minister speaking to a group of ministers. And you'll be able to hear the crowd. They were very much with me, very interactive, laughing and commenting, and it was great. In fact, you may hear this and think, well, why are they laughing at certain points? It was very much part of the mood of the room. It was very positive. They were very supportive of me. But in this, I do share just very honestly and very vulnerable about a desperate time that I was going through, but still how God was working through it with me. Originally, this was called Keeping Your Thrive Alive. So that's what I was speaking about. But I do hope as you listen to it, whether you're a leader or not, it doesn't matter. The principle is still the same. Finding God is the key to enduring and navigating the difficult things in our lives. And I hope as you listen to this, it will really encourage and inspire you.
I just have one point, and that is this. In order to keep your personal thrive alive, you just have to find God. You got to find God. Now, I'm not trying to say or to imply that God is lost. But when challenges come our way, they can knock us off of our game, and we become lost. So you got to find God. About a year ago, I uprooted my family and we moved to Brooklyn. I was asked to become the new ministry leader. And though the geography of it was really not that much, the geographical change was only 45 miles. We moved from the suburbs to the inner city. But physically, emotionally, financially, maritally, parentally, mentally, spiritually, Kylie. I mean, in every way, it has been one of the hardest things I have done. And it's not the ministry. I mean, they're very welcoming, very warm, very kind, very gracious. But it's the cumulative total of all the other little things that go on. It was Muhammad Ali who said, it isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe. And it's true. It's true, isn't it? In the last year, I've had many troubles. My brother was abruptly killed in a car accident last year. In the last year or so, I've been to 6 funerals. In the last year or so, my family and I, we've dealt with unbearable family, medical, and emotional problems. I had depleted almost all my bank accounts at this point. I totaled my car while I was in it. Plus, there's just the constant stress and strife of moving, right? It's trying to find the grocery store and then trying to find the milk in the grocery store. I have mourned, seriously, I have mourned the loss of space. I went from having a house and a yard to being in a tiny little city apartment, and I look out my window and see a brick wall. Right? And it's not just a wall, but there's windows in the wall staring right back at me. In fact, I counted one day 94 windows. There's 94 windows looking at me from my living room window. And I constantly am asking myself, why? Why am I doing this? Why? When I moved to Brooklyn, I had breakfast with one of the Bible Talk leaders just to get to know him and spend time with him. And he was trying to encourage me. He said, Phil, I really appreciate you moving your family to Brooklyn. I really appreciate you coming here to lead us. I said, thank you. And he said, because you would think at your age you'd be settled by now. And I thought, clearly you've been talking to my wife, obviously, right? It was meant as a compliment. It really was. It came from a sincere place. But it just hit me in the soul. It hit me in my heart. And I thought, what am I doing? And it helped me to realize and to learn my one point, and that is this. You got to find God. You got to find God where you're at. Psalm 73, the psalmist expresses similar thoughts. He looks around at all the unbelievers and he sees how apparently great their lives are. And he looks at himself and he sees all his troubles and he really begins to question, maybe it's in vain that I'm making righteous decisions when all these ungodly people seem to be doing so great. And then in Psalm 73 verse 16 it says, when I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply till I entered the sanctuary of God. You see, the turning point, the changing point was finding God. Listen, the only way my crazy life makes sense is in context of God. That's the only way. We've got to be finding God, and that means fighting to make time to be with God. Talk to God. Listen to God. Open the Bible. Pray. I like to find a spot. I like to find a place where I can go and be with God. Maybe you're the same. I like to go out. Everywhere I've ever lived, I've done this. I found a place, and I particularly like to be alone in nature, which is particularly hard in Brooklyn. Because even if you find some nature, there's already somebody there. But you gotta fight to find God. And let me warn you. Let me just give you a warning. As you seek to find God, you may learn things you don't want to know. You may find out things about yourself that you don't want to see. I recently read Job. I just finished. And you know a brother's struggling, right, when he tells you he just finished reading Job, right? We all keep Job in our back pocket, if it really gets bad. But, every 5 years or so you might break it out. I just finished it the other day. But I learned, and I've read it many times, but I've learned, here's what I learned this time, is that I have a deep sense of entitlement because of my struggle. Because of my struggle, I have a sense of, yeah, God, you owe me some answers here. All right? And that's what Job was doing. Job was like, God, I got questions. And Job had this sense of, yeah, my life is tough. I'm going through some hard times. It is difficult. So, God, you need to answer my questions. But God came back with no answers. In fact, God said, you want to ask questions? I'll give you some questions. Here's some questions. Sit down, brace yourself. I'm going to ask you some questions. And the point that I walked away with is this. God doesn't owe me anything. That's right, Phil. I don't deserve anything. But God is kind, and He is gracious, and He loves us, and He takes care of us. I'm just saying that to warn you, when you start looking for God, you're going to find things you may not want to see. But God will show you who you really are. I've thought more about quitting in the last year than I think I have ever thought in my life. And I don't mean quitting God. I just mean quitting this crazy gypsy lifestyle that I live. Right? I mean, this is ridiculous. I can relate. I relate so well to my brother James Warren, who leads the Harlem ministry, who after a recent staff meeting was asked to pray and talked about being in the corner, curled up, crying out to God and updating his resume. And I was like, yeah, bro. This is just all the more reason you have to find God. Jeremiah 29, 11 through 13. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Acts 17, 26 through 27. For from one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any of us. These verses are not just for non-Christians. They're for you and me every day. We got to find God. In your struggles, are you finding God or are you fighting God? Which Jonah are you? Are you pre-fish or post-fish? Are you running from God or are you running to God? He is our only hope, and he's not far from us, the Bible says. You gotta pray. You gotta read. You gotta wrestle. You gotta cry out. And then when you're done, you gotta do it all over again. Whatever it takes, you gotta find God. And God is amazing. God gives victories even in the midst of heartaches. He shines the light even when it seems like it's dark. This year in Brooklyn, just this year alone, this half of the year, we've already seen 9 people become Christians through baptisms. Just this year, just the first half of the year. And that includes a guy who grew up in Siberia, Russia, and moved to Brooklyn when he was 15. And came to church only because his wife made him come. Had absolutely zero faith. Not like negative faith. Not like he knew about God but was an atheist. Like just zero. He thought the Bible was the book of like fairy tales. He just knew nothing about nothing. Zero. And as he opened the Bible, it changed him. And over a period of a few months, it changed him so much that he had enough faith that he was able to put his faith into Jesus and become a Christian, be baptized into Christ, and then in the same water turn around and baptize his wife who brought him to church earlier that year. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what God has done. It's amazing how God brings victory. Special contribution just last month in Brooklyn. You know, people are still giving. Brooklyn alone has already surpassed its goal by over $30,000 in Brooklyn. I mean, it's amazing, the victories. You know, just a few weeks ago, my wife and I were able to appoint John and Tiffany Rodeo as evangelists and women's ministry leaders. And that's a special victory for all of us, because you know they became a Christian as part of the New England family of churches in Boston, and then moved to New York, and then for them to become an evangelist women's ministry leader and lead one of our regions is really an amazing victory for everybody. God brings out victories in the midst of anywhere, anytime, and then in the midst of that, you've got the Aguaya family themselves. I mean, Daisy just last year lost her husband. Stephen lost his father. But Daisy and Stephen and Hannah have just continued to work and be incredible examples of perseverance and faith and love in the midst of incredible pain in their life. It's just amazing what God can do. God never gives up on us, and he can help us in any situation. My wife came to me recently, and she asked me to reorder a bottle of lotion for her. She said, it's empty. I like this particular brand. Can you go online and can you order it? And it turns out it's not really lotion. It's actually moisturizer, which is a totally different thing, I guess. But, so she said, can you get this moisturizer? I said, sure. And like a great husband, right, I got online. Immediately, I found the brand, found the bottle, ordered it. And then I did what just seemed most logical in this situation, is I took the bottle and I threw it away. And she came out later, she said, did you order it? And I said, yes, I did. It's on its way. Thinking, good job, husband. And she said, well, where's the bottle? And I said, I threw it away. And she said, you threw it away? And I said, yeah, you said it was empty. And she said, and I wrote it down, actually. This is a quote. She said, empty doesn't mean it's done. She said, you always can get some more out of it. There's a little bit more you can squeeze, just because it's empty, there's still a little bit more in there until the new one comes. Let me ask you how you're feeling today. How are you doing? Are you lost? Are you hopeless? Are you afraid? Are you in pain? Are you depressed? Are you sad? Are you scared? Are you feeling useless? Are you feeling empty? Well, I have good news for you. Empty doesn't mean you're done. Hang in there and go find God. Thank you, amen.
Hey, thank you for listening, and I really hope that you have found some encouragement and some strength in this lesson today. Find more at Philuminated.com.